What's going on, guys? So today is kind of a bit of a sad video, a sad day. As many of you guys may know, Anthony Bourdain died of a apparent suicide in France a couple of days ago. And I really wanted to come on here and talk about the impact that he had on my career, the impact that he had on black travel, the impact he had globally overall. Because I think a lot of people just don't understand that the real grassroots ground floor impact that he had on travel blogging, on the black travel movement, on a lot of people who didn't have a voice prior to him giving them a voice, or him advocating for those diverse minority voices. The thing, the crazy thing, and it was shocking because I woke up. My phone does news alerts. That's what wakes me up in the morning. And when the phone said that Anthony Bourdain had died at 61, I thought I was still dreaming. I thought I was asleep, because Anthony Bourdain has become such a staple, not only in my life, but the lives of millions of people around the world for over a decade now. And at such a young age, the older I get, the more aware I am of how young so many people are dying because of mental illness, drug abuse, and things like this. And at 61, it was just mind-boggling to me. And then I started to look into it and found out it was true that he had passed away. And Anthony Bourdain was probably the first real travel inspiration that I ever had as an individual, as a person, as somebody who I could relate to. And this goes into the whole black travel thing, what he meant to black travel. Prior to Anthony Bourdain, people weren't really... They weren't really looking for diverse voices. They weren't advocating for diverse voices. It wasn't cool yet. It wasn't niche yet. It didn't exist. Black travel movement wasn't a thing before. I'm sorry. It's really hard to talk about him in the past tense because the work that he did was so groundbreaking and brilliant. Prior to Anthony Bourdain's show, people of color were relegated to props, showpieces. If you go and look at any shows that existed prior to No Reservations, or even prior to Bizarre Foods, pre-2006, the early 2000s, late 90s, the people that you saw of color were servants. They served. They were mere props in the background or a part of the B-roll. What Anthony Bourdain did was he gave people a voice. If you watch his show, and I know a lot of people are catching up on No Reservations now, notice that Anthony Bourdain doesn't speak a lot when he's on camera with somebody else. And a lot of people would assume that he speaks a lot because you hear his voice, but you hear his voice during B-roll. But when he's in a situation where he's with somebody else, when he's with a local vendor, when he's with a tour guide, when he's with another chef, he lets them talk. He lets them tell their story. He goes to places that people don't go to. I mean, he was in Namibia. He was in Liberia. He went to Kurdistan. He was in Cambodia. He went to Romania before people were going to Romania. I mean, he was down in Mexico and Nicaragua. I mean, he was going to places that most people couldn't find on a fucking map. And he wasn't going to these all-exclusive 5-star resorts and taking cruises and all that stuff. Something else that made travel seem for the wealthy and the rich. He was on the ground. He was a grassroots traveler. He was the first live like a local. Like, anybody who's using the term live like a local has Anthony Bourdain to truly thank for that becoming this big, massive mainstream thing. And it's heartbreaking that we lost somebody like him, because he was one of the few people in mainstream media that advocated for the working class people. I was raised by cooks. My father was a line cook. My mother was a cook in all kind of, from Burger King to fine restaurants. Then she started her own small catering company. So I grew up around people in the hospitality industry. My Uncle Eddie is a chef right now in Cleveland. I grew up around hospitality, and nobody ever talks about them. Everybody talks about the Gordon Ramsays of the world, who I have great respect for, but Anthony Bourdain was one of the first people to speak up about the line cooks, to speak up about the impact of Central and South American immigrants, illegal immigrants, to a certain extent, working in the kitchens all over the country. I can't remember the exact quote, but he made a statement that if you deported all the Mexicans who were working illegally in the United States, the hospitality industry would shut down. Which is true, and we all know this, but we still treat those people like shit. Anthony Bourdain challenged us. He pushed us to think differently, to stop dehumanizing each other and come to common ground. And people have been throwing around like, oh, we lost a culinary giant and the culinary world is mourning. We lost one of the greatest humanists of all time. We lost a philosopher. We lost a leader. We lost somebody that the world just didn't deserve, because that man saw people with all his flaws, with all the shit he had been through, all the mistakes he had made. He always saw people for people, no matter where they were. If they were in Ghana, if they were in France, if they're in South Africa, if they're in Argentina, he saw people and he interacted with people in a human way. My work, I don't think Minority Nomad would exist without Anthony Bourdain and what he created. I actually watch Anthony Bourdain. I watch Anthony Bourdain and Rudy Maxa's World. Those were my visual planning devices when I was putting together the whole concept of Minority Nomad and traveling the world and recording my life doing it. Those guys, the work they did, and if you look back, if you look at the videos I did in Romania, or if you look at the videos that I did in South Africa, or videos I do in Thailand all the time, a lot of my work is food, because food is the great equalizer. People who know me personally know I didn't drink until I was 30. I had never had anything. I wasn't a drinker until I was 30 years old. And the reason I started drinking was because alcohol is a bridge to so many different cultures. And I wanted that opportunity. I wanted that experience to truly interact with people on their level. And it's especially important, back to the black travel thing. Anthony Bourdain taught us that food and drink are that common denominator, that thing that brings people together. And it's difficult for a foreigner to gain access to minority communities, because minority communities around the world tend to be very guarded, very close, very suspicious of outsiders, and rightfully so. Especially in majority countries like Thailand or Korea, where everybody looks the same, very homogenous cultures. And when a big black guy shows up, it's difficult to penetrate that. But when I show up and I want to know about palinka, and I want to know about boba tea, and I want to know about sakis, and I want to know about blood sausages, like, these things open so many doors for me and give me so many opportunities to interact with people and share these things with you. And without Anthony Bourdain setting the foundation for guys like me to do what I love and show it off to you guys, I don't know where I would be. He gave so many black travelers the confidence to travel to places that we never even knew existed. Places that so many people actually can afford to go to. Shows us that travel is not only for rich, wealthy white folks on cruises. I really appreciate his contribution, and I hope that I don't think there will ever be anybody like Anthony Bourdain, but I think collectively we can try to live by his example, by, and I say it all the time, by leaving the world better than we found it. And I think Anthony Bourdain definitely did that. He left the world so much better than when he started. And I for one am going to try to do everything that I can above and beyond to try to kind of keep what he started going. The more gonzo journalistic style of travel vlogging and culinary culture and interacting with people and sharing those things with the world. And I hope you guys do too, because I mean, we absolutely lost a titan and an icon, and the way that he died further highlights the need for us to stop negatively associating mental illness with people. We need to stop. We got to remove the stigma. People have issues. It doesn't make them weak. People have problems. It doesn't make them weak. And we have to be able to talk to our friends, our families, our coworkers, our colleagues about these things, about depression, about bipolar disorder, about these things have to be discussed. So if somebody comes to you, make sure people know they can come to you. Make sure people know that you're open to have that dialogue and to help them in any way that you can. And if you need help, reach out to somebody. Reach out to anybody, friends, family, somebody, professionals. I'll leave some links below in the description if you guys need any help. If you guys want to talk and just reach out to somebody. So I'm going to sign off here, guys. I wish this was a cheerier video, but we lost somebody truly, truly special. So as always, leave the world better than it found it. Comment below. Tell me what Anthony Bourdain's work meant to you. Tell me how he impacted your life. Tell me your favorite episodes of his shows, or his favorite books, or speeches, or everything that he did for us, because we were truly blessed to have him. So I'll see you guys next time.